all. This is my third chapter in the series of important judgment that transformed India. This case that I'll be dealing with today is a very important case on which a movie was made very recently, a Bollywood movie by the name Rustom. I guess most of you must have watched that movie, and you'll be able to relate the contents of this case with that of the movie. So without further ado, let's just start with the case, and it's K.M. Nanavati versus State of Maharashtra, filed in 1959. When we enter into this case, first let's see the background of the case. The case has two important points here. First one is a definition between a jury trial and a bench trial. So, if there are two terms, jury trial and bench trial, how are you going to differentiate between the two terms? Now, jury trial is something which is now completely abandoned. It never happens now. But before this Nanavati case, like Nanavati's case was the last case in which a jury trial was heard. Okay, and after that we have all bench trials. Now, jury trial consists of like a group of persons from a community representing the legal heads, and they are the one who decides whether the person should be convicted or evicted in a particular case. Okay, so it completely depends on the set of 8 people, 10 people, 12 people from one community, or it is the jurisdiction of the court, and they decide whether that person is a convict or not. Okay, now we understand that if there is one jury trial happening and we have a set of say 8 to 10 people sitting in one place and deciding on who is wrong and right, we'll mostly see that there will be person who, in the trial itself, that there will be person who will be so strong in his views that he will convince the other people of the group to believe in his ideologies. Okay, and so we'll see that say out of 10 people, 8 people are in support of something, and say the other 2 are not in the support, something like that. Okay, so it basically deals with the conscience of the people in that particular jury. If we talk about the bench trial thing, bench trial is what we see today. It is like there will be one judge. He will listen to the entire case. He will understand the claims of the case, and then he will use his jurisdiction. He will use all his powers to understand how that particular thing has to be how that particular person has to be dealt with. Okay, so here we see in the bench trial, there's only one person who has to be convinced, and it completely depends on his discretion. So it is him who has to decide. Okay, so he has to just listen to what the petitioner and the respondent are saying, and then he has to decide on his own. On the other hand, in the jury trial, what happens that there are some people who would understand the case, and then there are some people who wouldn't understand much, and then they will follow what the other half was particularly saying. Okay, so it happens no, if we are in a group of people, say 6 are in a majority, so even eventually we'll see that rest 2 or 3 will also move towards them. Somehow they'll be convinced, and so if there is one left, automatically the this thing is haphazard, right? So even someone is not willing but to admit himself to that particular situation, but he'll have to. Okay, so this used to happen in jury trial. Now, if you listen to understand the case of K.M. Nanavati versus State of Maharashtra, we'll see that in the case of Nanavati, he was one of the naval officer in the Indian Navy, and he was the second command of the Indian naval ship. Now, he married a a woman named Sylvia and had 3 children. This happened in the year 1949. Now, as we know, a naval job is something where you are not left to stay at home. So you'll have to go to your field jobs, and it's very little time that you spend with your family. Now, what happened was, obviously, Sylvia had a group of friends with whom she used to hang out and all. So once in a party, she was introduced to a person named Prem Ahuja. Even her husband knew her, and there was a kind of say a quick kind of a friendship between Nanavati ji and Prem Ahuja, and then there was a kind of a close-knit friendship going on when Sylvia entered the scene, and she started to having a very good connection with Mr. Prem Ahuja. Now, since Nanavati used to stay away from home, what Sylvia used to do is she used to tell whatever problems she had with Prem Ahuja. So eventually this came on, this continued, and Mr. Ahuja had a soft corner for Sylvia, and even Sylvia had the same. And eventually they went into intimate relationship. Now what happened was, one day Nanavati, he discovered that his wife was having some kind of an affair, and he confronted her. So Sylvia was also very straightforward, and she confessed that she was having an affair with Mr. Ahuja. Now, obviously, he was enraged, Nanavati was enraged, and what he did was, he went to his naval stores, picked up a revolver filled with the shells, and went to Mr. Ahuja's place. There he asked Ahuja whether he would marry his wife or not, and to that Mr. Ahuja replied that he is not going to marry each and every woman he sleeps with. So in that, Mr. Nanavati was so much provoked that he shot Mr. Ahuja, and then he went to the police station and surrendered himself. So now what happened was, since he surrendered himself, there was this jury trial that was about to happen. Now jury trial somehow convinced people that Mr. Nanavati was this Ram figure, and Mr. Ahuja was the Ravana who was trying to abduct Sylvia, or Sita as we would say in this case, and therefore he was rightly murdered. Okay, so Mr. Nanavati is a Ram avatar, and therefore he should have all the glories of a brave man. So when jury trial sat, there were obviously the set of say 10 to 12 people, and plus there was also another twist. There was a twist in the case of Parsi and Sindhi. Mr. Nanavati was a Parsi, Mr. Ahuja was a Sindhi guy. So when this jury sat, they were in the favor of Mr. Nanavati, and they held that Nanavati was correct, and therefore by killing Mr. Ahuja, and therefore he should be given a better position in the society rather than any life imprisonment or anything. Now since this happened, what Sindhi community said that this is not going to happen. This person has killed our person, a person from our community, from a Sindhi community, and therefore we are not going to spare him. So what they did was they moved to session court. Now when they moved to session court said that even I feel so that there is a problem with the case, and they shifted the case to High Court. Now when the case went to High Court said that Mr. Nanavati is this thing. He is a guilty, and he will have charges in the section 302 and 304. Now what does 302 says? 302 is punishment for murder, and section 304 is punishment for culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Now what is the difference between two? In 302 it says that you went somewhere and you kill somebody, so that's a direct murder. Okay, when it is section 304, it says that you had no intention of murdering a person. You went there, you wanted to like hit a person, but eventually that hitting was so hard that person died. Okay, so the cases will be differently. Okay, so in section 302 you will have a life imprisonment, you will have death sentence, and you can also have a fine. But in section 304 you might have like a term of 10 years. You can also have an imprisonment of life or death or anything. So things are kind of changed, the perceptions are changed in article 302 and 304. So when Nanavati came to know that he was being charged with these two cases, what he did was he appealed to Supreme Court of India for a special leave petition. Now what is special leave petition? Special leave petition is something when a person appeals to the highest court of India, that is Supreme Court of India, saying that he is being wrongly charged, and therefore he needs an SLP, that is a special leave petition, in which he should be heard in the highest court, and then only the judgment has to be made. Okay, so this was being done. Another side, he also appealed to the governor of Maharashtra. Now there is one twist to the story. What is it? Because Mr. Nanavati was a very famous man, he had his terms with Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru at that time. And what we see is Mr. Nehru's sister, that is, what is her name? Vijayalakshmi. Vijayalakshmi was the governor of the state of Maharashtra. Now, so he also, Nanavati appealed to governor of the state that he should be under article 161 to grant him pardon. Okay, so as we know that as president can grant pardon, even governor has the right to grant pardon. Okay, so he filed an appeal saying that this happened in a say a spark of a second. He had not meditated about a murder, and therefore he should be spared in this particular case. So he appealed that to Mrs. Vijayalakshmi. Now what we see is two things are happening. First, he filed for an SLP, and second, he also appealed for this thing from a governor. Now what were the what were the arguments put forward? Arguments were put forward by state of Maharashtra that through the special leave petition, K.R. Nanavati contended that the High Court was not empowered by section 307 of the Penal Code to set the verdict of misdirections in the charge. It was also contended that there was no misdirection in the charge, was the verdict perverse. So Nanavati put the thing that when there was a trial in jury system, then the trial was not at all wrong, because jury had done the correct thing, and because he was not wrong, he should not be given any imprisonment under article 302 or 304 anything. Further, since there was a grave and sudden provocation, so Nanavati said that there was a sudden provocation by Ahuja, and therefore that thing actually forced him to murder Mr. Ahuja, Nanavati to murder Mr. Ahuja. Now what we see here is that Nanavati said that when he went to the room of Mr. Ahuja, he had just come out of bath, and they had an argument, and in that argument he killed Mr. Ahuja. But when police went to the crime scene, they saw that since Mr. Ahuja was out from bath, he had a towel on his body. He had wrapped around his torso, and that towel was still intact. So if there had been any argument, if there had been any fight between the two, obviously the towel would have been misplaced. But it did not happen so. Second thing was that when the mark of the bullet was seen, it showed that it was this bullet was shot from a distance. That then again it showed that obviously there would have been no talk between the two. Instead, Nanavati just came and shot Ahuja, right? So two things were against Nanavati. So whatever the lawyer of Mr. Nanavati was saying were kind of wrong, and he was actually guilty in the case. Now two legal issues were involved in this particular thing. First was whether it was a premeditated murder or the heat of the moment. Now it was thought that it wasn't in the heat of the moment, but the murder was a premeditated one. Why was it so? Because on the day of the murder, he had taken his family to the movie. He brought them back to home. Then he went to the naval store. He took a gun and the bullets and everything on a false pretext. He did not tell them why he was taking the gun, and then he took the gun and went to Ahuja's place. So this was one thing, that the murder did not happen in a spur of a moment, but it was kind of a premeditated one. Second thing was whether the pardoning power of the governor and the SLP can be moved together. So as I had earlier told, that Nanavati had applied for SLP, that is special leave petition, and also he had appealed to governor of the state, governor of Maharashtra, to grant him pardon. Okay, so the question was whether these two things can go together. What did the judgment see? The Supreme Court said that, first it said that SLP and pardoning power cannot operate together. So either you can have 161, that is a governor can grant pardon, or you can have SLP, that is your case going to the highest court of India. Okay, so you cannot, these two things cannot operate together. Okay, so if SLP is filed, then the power of the governor in such condition will cease to exist. So if a person files an SLP, that is special leave petition, then of course the pardoning power of the governor will completely cease, completely stop. Okay, now the governor, the Supreme Court reasoned that as per the rule of statutory existence, if two statutes are found in conflict as their objectives are different, then the language of each statute is restricted to its own objective or subject. They run parallel and never meet. So if two things are going together and they have different objectives, so even their jurisdiction, even their answer will be completely different, and these two will be parallel lines and we cannot meet them together. So on this, K.M. Nanavati was said to be guilty under section 302, and it was like for the murder case. So it was believed that K.M. Nanavati had a entire plan in his mind before he went to Mr. Ahuja, and therefore he had to be charged under section 302 of the IPC, that is Indian Penal Code. And Nanavati was asked to go on a sentenced or rigorous punishment, that is imprisonment for life. Now, why did Supreme Court gave such a jurisdiction? They said that there was a time lapse between when Sylvia confessed and when Mr. Nanavati went to Ahuja's place. So in this kind of a time lapse, he must have premeditated what are the things he is going to do, what are the things he is going to say to Mr. Ahuja, and how he is going to react in that particular situation. So he had plans in his mind. Second, when he went to Mr. Ahuja, he might have asked that whether you would marry my wife and you will take care of my children. And when Ahuja must have said something like that, that he would not marry every woman he sleeps with, that must have provoked him more to shoot the person. And before shooting Ahuja, there might have been a word kind of a tussle between the two, but that does not mean that is a kind of provocation, because if you are carrying a gun, it shows your intention that you wanted to kill a person. So in this way, Mr. Nanavati is actually convicted and is a convict, and he has to go on a life imprisonment. Now, since Mr. Nanavati had a very good contact with Mr. Nehru and Miss Vijay Lakshmi, what happened was he wasn't arrested. Instead, he went to a naval command, and later when Supreme Court gave the order, he went to a civilian prison, and in that civilian prison also he just stayed for 3 years. After that, what happened? There was one person called Bhai Pratap Singh. He was a Sindhi person. Now he had done something which led him to the jail. Okay. Now Nanavati is a Parsi, is in a jail, and Bhai Pratap Singh is a Sindhi and he is in a jail. Now these two are very important personalities. What happened? That the governor then thought that this was the right time to actually release Mr. Nanavati, because if Nanavati is released alone, then obviously there will be a kind of upsurge and uproar in the heart of the people of Sindh community, and they are not going to let Nanavati stay protected. So what they thought of an idea is they are going to release both Bhai Pratap Singh and Nanavati together, and since Nanavati will be released, Parsi community will be happy, and Bhai Pratap Singh will be released, and Sindhi community will be happy, and the Congress will be able to have both the vote banks. Okay, so that will be a good thing. So in 84, what happened was both Bhai Pratap Singh ji and Nanavati, they were released, and Nanavati went to Canada, I guess. He went there with his wife and his 3 children, and then he started living happily there. Now, what do we understand from this case? This case tells us that how jury trial and your bench trial can have a completely different understanding of one particular case, right? So where we see that where one place where Nanavati was in the jury system, he was completely evicted, but when he went to the bench trial, that is in this High Court and Supreme Court of India, then obviously he was convicted with the case, though he did not stay for a long time in the case because of his political powers and a very good connection, but still there he had to stay in the court. Second thing is, with this case, the jury system in India ceased to exist. So it was completely eradicated, and it was said that only the bench system of jurisdiction would be present in India, and no other system would be available. Okay, so this was important. So I guess that will be all for the case. So we actually got to know different sections of the case, different sections of the constitution of IPC, Indian Penal Code and all, and we got to know how the powers of governor and the power of president important and kind of similar. So these are the things we have to keep in mind. We have to kind of keep a comparison to understand that these things kind of make our background in the study more stronger. So while we shift from one chapter to another, it is very important that we keep our comparison on, and we keep on linking the entire thing, because these things will only help us to understand how things develop. Okay, so we came from fundamental rights to DPSPs, then to we have come to jury trials and bench trials and all. So this is kind of very important for us to link our study, because these things will kind of form our base and will be helpful further in our studies or in any information we want to collect. So I guess you must have understood the chapter. I just hope that this chapter won't be a problem for you. If at all you feel a problem in any place and you feel like asking any question, feel free to connect to me on comment section. I'll be happy to help you with all your doubts. Till then, be happy, stay safe, and keep studying. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye.